Welcome. I am Unapologetically Eric. You can find me on Facebook at Unapologetically Eric or on X at Eric Not Sorry. Thank you for checking me out. If you liked what you heard, I do have previous episodes and I have more to come. Like, follow, share, tell your friends, family. Please don't keep me your dirty little secret. How's everybody doing out there? Is this your first time tuning in? If it is, thank you for tuning in. Buckle up, shit's about to get real because I am caffeinated, medicated, and never regulated, so let's fucking go. Alright, recently I have been seeing the same bullshit story again that's been debunked hundreds of times, but of course, the wonderful Governor Nutsack Ned of Connecticut was, running his mouth somewhere about, about the wage gap. Women don't get paid as much as men. It's a lie. You are being lied to. People are taking numbers that are legitimate numbers, but they are twisting them to make them seem something that they are not. The whole wage gap thing has been debunked. Like I said, literally hundreds of times over the last 10 years. But there's always someone beating the dead horse. The wage gap hoax is pushed by people to feed on the emotions of the ignorant for votes. They say they will continue to fight for women. They are fighting a battle no one is fighting in a war that doesn't exist.
But, Eric, women make 73 cents
Shut up. Yes, comparing apples to oranges, you are correct. But if you want to get down to brass tacks and compare apples to apples, you're being lied to. So what these people do is essentially, now look, I'm a moron.
Well, of course you are. I'm not following.
Okay, fine, fuck off, I don't care, Karen. But look, I'm an idiot. So numbers are hard. But what these people do is they take the amount of women in the country that are working in the workforce and, they add them all up. And then they take all of their incomes and they add it all up. And then they divide the two and they go, hey, look, here's a number. And then they do the same with the men. And they go, oh, look, there's X amount of men that are working, and add up all of their salaries. And then you divide and you go, here's a number. Hey, those numbers are different. There's a wage gap. The only gap is the one in between your fucking ears. You can't do that. Yes, doing that will show you the average income of men and women. And sure, you could say men versus women. But there are so many variables that go into why those numbers are so different. No one wants to hear this. And this is why some asshole like me is talking about it for the 200th time, because 199 other people have already beaten me to it. But it has to be said again, apparently, because people are fucking morons. Now, for anybody out there that is clenching their sphincter at this moment, fear not. Ladies, I love you. I am not doing this episode and going to be bashing women. No, that is not the case. I am doing this to inform the best that I can because I'm a layman. I try to explain things the best I can for everyone. So no, I'm not doing this episode to rip on women. No, I'm ripping on the morons that feed women this bullshit lie. So, one of the biggest factors is what type of job, by and large, again, stereotype, painting with a wide brush. You guys know the story if you listened to me before. But, by and large, what industries do women typically, not always, but typically go into? Nursing. Okay. Nothing wrong with nursing. Fucking shout out to all the nurses out there. We all know that y'all bust your ass harder than the doctors. We know. Noble profession. Nothing wrong with nurses. Of course there's male nurses, right? Duh. But by and large, nursing is filled with women. Daycare. Sure. There's an odd fellow here and there in daycare, but by and large, women deal with daycare, run daycare centers, and all that stuff. Teaching. Sure, there's men teachers. One of my favorite teachers, Mr. Dio, shout out, we're men, but by and large, there's oftentimes more female teachers. Again, nothing wrong with being a teacher. Nothing wrong with working at a daycare center. There's nothing wrong with any of those jobs. Dental hygienists. Sure, I've had a male dental hygienist maybe once in my life. Typically, it was always women. Nothing wrong with that. It's a good job. A friend of mine does that. She makes a good living. Shit, nothing wrong with that. Data entry. Clerical. Like the old secretary. Oh, that's an outdated term. I don't give a shit. You know what I mean. Data entry, sitting in a computer, putting shit in. Okay, again, nothing wrong with that. Just sit back and think of the typical industries and jobs that women go into. Now, think of the salaries and the wages that go along with those jobs. Some make bank, right? Some, not so much. Not saying the job isn't worthy. Not saying the job doesn't pay in something else. Like, legitimately, like good feelings. Like, wow, I helped that person today. I feel great. But wage-wise, may not be the greatest. Now you look at the industries men go into. Traditionally, I have worked in the trades my whole life. I went to trade school. I've had women work with me, but typically they're outnumbered like 6-7 to 1. It's just the way it is. It's not that women aren't allowed to be carpenters. Oh no, heaven forbid Sarah picks up a saw. No, of course women are. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody cares. It's what is the interest of the individual? Many men like to break shit and build shit. A lot of women don't understand what boys do. Like, why do you do that? Okay, that's fine. It's just how people are wired. So again, by and large, typically, what are the industries men get into? Sanitation. I don't see an awful lot of women lining up to work in sanitation. Do they? Of course. Of course. I have seen a woman driving a garbage truck, of course. Awful lot of guys, though. Good pay, too, right? Union wage? Okay. Construction. A lot of any kind of physical labor, from welding to carpenter, HVAC. Again, I've seen women doing those jobs as well, of course, and they do them very well. I've worked with some myself. I'm friends with one. She was a phenomenal welder, but she was definitely outnumbered by men. But that's okay. Again, nothing wrong with it. If you can do the job, you can do the job. My point at the end of this is you look at the industries and jobs and professions that most men get into, they're difficult jobs. They're dangerous jobs. The rate of injury and or death on the job is higher, overwhelmingly, than compared to the jobs most women choose. Okay, I'm not going to say, ladies, you better stop, give up working at daycare and go work on an oil rig. No. If you want to, by fucking all means, go for it. Nobody's going to say no. If you can hack it, they'll be like, yo, grab that wrench. Get over here. We got a gusher. Let's go. But If you don't want to do that, again, also fine. But don't start screaming, ranting, and raving when the guy next door who's been out on a derrick in the Gulf of Mexico for 3 months buys a brand new truck because he just earned 105 grand in 6 months or whatever it is. You get my point. Another factor that goes into this whole wage gap bullshit: overtime. Men, by and large, overwhelmingly, on average, typically work more overtime than women. Do women work overtime? Yes. Yes, they do. Women bust their ass. Wow, what? Who the fuck doesn't think that in 2025? I mean, really? There are lazy people and hardworking people across the board. Do we not know that now? So yes, women, of course, work overtime. But when you look at the numbers, by and large, men work a lot more hours. So even if a man and a woman doing the same job getting paid the same rate, he's going to make more money every year, even if he does 1 hour more a week than her. Hell, half an hour a week. If she does 40 hours and he does 40 and a half, guess what? He's going to make more money at the end of the year. Well, that's not fair. She was offered overtime and decided not to. Okay, that's her choice. If it wasn't offered to her, then yeah, I'd be like, hey, boss, why is only one dude getting it? Okay, fair enough question, right? I'm right there with you. I'd be curious. But again, men work a lot more hours of overtime, thus increasing the bottom line of take-home pay and earnings. Wow. It's almost like it's kind of making sense that what they're telling people is bullshit. Whoa. I'm just a fucking idiot, and I figured this out. Another factor: women have babies. And yes, only women can have babies. Now, does that mean every woman must or should? No, of course not. I would never say that. But women do choose to become moms. What do many women typically do when they become a mom? They take time off of work. No, sure. Some take, what was it, like 3 or 4 week or 6 week? I don't know what it is. But they take, the air quotes minimum and get back to work. But others, they'll take 6 months. Some they'll take 2 years. Okay. I'm not saying you're doing the right thing or wrong thing. I mean, you're doing your thing. I have no opinion. Even if I had one, who gives a shit, right? You do you, boo-boo. But when women do that, when women decide to become moms, a wonderful, noble position to be, they oftentimes take an X amount of time away from work. The men continue to work. So even if a husband and wife worked together, making the same pay, she gets pregnant, gives birth, and decides to take 1 month off, 4 weeks. He works those 4 weeks. At the end of the year, he will be making more than her.
Well, that's not fair. He should have stayed home those 4 weeks.
Okay, well, you know what? Maybe that's not my business. I'm just doing a hypothetical, damn it. Do you get my point? This is why the numbers in this whole wage gap is bullshit.
Well, we need to promote and push more girls to get into this and that.
Okay, I don't have a problem with that. What I do have a problem with is trying to push certain people into something they may just not give a shit about. For example, I remember taking home ec in middle school before, home ec was eliminated for, I don't know, dance study or whatever the fuck. I did not give two fucks about sewing. I did the project and I didn't give a shit. I don't know how to sew anymore. I didn't care. I just didn't care. Oh, but wait, photography? Oh, damn. All right, cool. Now, all right, pictures are cool. So again, I don't have a problem with people wanting to and spending money on pushing women, young girls to get into predominantly male fields. I don't have a problem with that at all because you already know certain jobs make some serious bank. So there's nothing wrong with that. But if the girls are just not interested in going and driving long haul trucks, then don't push them into that. Say, what are you interested in? And push them that way.
Well, you're not going to be able to get a good.
Okay. Okay. Then don't bitch that the man is making more than you. I know couples where the wife makes more than the husband. Oh no. Does he feel emasculated? Yeah, he feels so emasculated when him and his wife get to go on vacation. He feels terrible sitting on the beach drinking Mai Tais. Yeah, horrible life. No, he doesn't give a shit. He's proud of his wife. She got into some kind of public works thing with water, and it's all science based. And she makes bank. And I forgot what he does, but he doesn't care. Nobody cares. So if girls are interested in learning the trade, fuck yeah, go do it. You will be outnumbered, but go do it. Because I can tell you, most guys in the industries out there, they're not what you saw in the movies in the 80s. And do they exist? Sure, there's a couple douchebags, but you get douchebags everywhere. Ask a nurse. Ask a teacher, right? But by and large, men in overwhelmingly male-dominated industries don't care if they're working beside a woman. As long as everybody around them can do their job, they don't care. But don't complain about this bullshit hoax of a wage gap when John Q wants to go do this dangerous job where he spends 3 months away from his family, but he's going to make, 100 grand. But it's dangerous. And the female's like, no, I don't want to do that. That sounds dangerous. That sounds scary. Shit, no, I don't want to do that. I want to have a nice, safe job over here. Okay, well, you're going to get paid less. Well, that's not fair. Okay. What job is harder to do? Let's see. Strap yourself in a harness, hook yourself to cables and wires that you hope somebody else did properly and securely so you can help build the 72nd floor of some building or bag groceries at the grocery store. Who do you think gets paid more? Which industry do you think more men do? Exactly. Not saying people shouldn't get jobs as baggers. Not saying that. I'm not knocking anybody. I won't knock anybody who's working. If this is the first time you've heard me, well, now you know. I've said it before. But I am so sick and fucking tired of hearing, well, women make If you compare the apples to oranges, you are correct, but you are not comparing them properly. I'm going to use an analogy I have used before of how people use accurate numbers and say them in accurate ways to fuck with you. Okay, Town A. Town A had 100 murders. Town B had 1. Where would you choose to live? Where do you want to live? Where do you think is safer? Town B. Correct. Okay. All right. Now, one town, Town A, let's pretend you don't know those numbers. Nobody told you. I didn't tell you Town A had 100 murders and Town B had 1. This is the first time you're hearing of it, but I'm coming to you and I'm saying, why are you moving to Town B? And you go, well, it's safer. No, haven't you heard? The numbers came out. Town A, murders went down 10%. Town B, murders doubled. You might want to rethink moving to Town B. It doesn't sound safe there. Now let's look at the numbers, the original numbers I said. Okay, so 100 murders is bad, but 90 is great. 1 is good, but 2 is horrible. It's how it's phrased and worded and how the numbers are used and twisted. Do not get twisted. I don't have an issue with anybody working whatever job, whatever puts food on their table. You know what job you do and how much you have to make in order to survive until the next payday. You also sometimes get a job that pays you rewardingly emotionally. That's also great. And that may be watching a child, walk for the first time and sending the video to the parent. Okay? Kind of sad at the same time, but still powerful. Yes? Still amazing. Kind of like when, say, a person, whether it be a man or woman, puts a motor back together and holy shit, it runs. That's fucking rewarding too. But one just pays more. That's all. Now you can complain, well, why is that paid more? Okay, you can bitch and complain about that too. But again, it usually comes down to skills, training, danger, death, risk, shit like that. And time invested. Too many people on both sides, men and women. Too many get in the workforce at 19 and they want 6 figures. Yo, pump the brakes, homie. But different conversation. But don't get fooled by this bullshit. There's no gender pay gap when you break it down. Because you have to break it down. You have to. Because if you don't, you're going to believe the lie. Yay! All right, I think I've rambled on long enough. I hope you enjoyed this. And if you didn't, well, sorry. Bye, Felicia. If you did, tune in next time. I will have more episodes. Oh, yeah, real quick. One, if you're a first-time listener, thank you. If you've heard me before and you're tuning in again, thank you again. But I do notice some of you are regulars. You know who you are. I don't. I don't need you. That's okay. That's okay. Just, share. But I do see places like Newington, Connecticut come up often. Brooklyn, New York City, Jacksonville. I've seen you come up often. And Cape Town, South Africa. I don't know if someone's using a VPN or you're legit in South Africa, but I don't know how the hell you heard about me. But thank you for continuing to tune in, you regulars. I appreciate you. I really do. All right. Enough of this. Enough of me. I'm going to go get another cup of coffee. So, well, I'm sure I chapped somebody's ass today. And good. All right. Thank you for tuning in. And until next time, y'all, keep being you.